Welcome back to The Last Word. We got another great, exciting show for you. But before we get started, won't you take the time to like, comment, and subscribe? We want to hear from you. Let's turn our attention to the NFL. Of course, the NFL free agency has begun, and a lot of big names off the boards. Let's get started and figure those names out. First, we got Russell Wilson. He signs in Pittsburgh, so he'll be going off to the Steelers. We got Kirk Cousins landing a 4-year contract in Atlanta, which is a big name. I never saw that coming, but that is a great choice. We also have Saquon Barkley. He'll be taking his talents to the city of brotherly love. He'll be headed to Philadelphia. And Josh Jacobs, he left the Raiders, and now he'll be headed to the Green Bay Packers. Baker Mayfield looks like he'll be staying in Tampa Bay after signing a 3-year, $100 million contract. Of course, 50 of that is guaranteed. So if you break it down, maybe that is a 2-year, $25 million a year contract. Who knows? Depends on this play. But that is where we stand with the biggest names off the market right now. What's your take on that? Who do you think is going to have the biggest impact right now for their teams?
The way Pittsburgh comes to mind. A veteran quarterback who's been through it, who knows how to get it done. Again, we look at Russell and there's a little tinge on his name right now, but in the grand scope of things, again, the guy is a 9-time Pro Bowler, a Super Bowl winner. Yes, he did win the Super Bowl. People forget. And again, he is a talented quarterback. Again, the second half of last season, even amidst all that was going on in Denver, he still had pulled off a decent end of a season. And I think in Pittsburgh, where you're going to have Tomlin, so none of this foolishness, and I think he's going to be coming in from a different point of view at this point, right?
Let's hope so.
You're on a veteran, a league veteran minimum deal.
Veteran minimum.
He's still getting paid very well by the Broncos, and Pittsburgh, you're not doing your own thing in Pittsburgh. There's a certain way things are going to happen. And again, Tomlin won't allow for certain things to fester and get out of control in Pittsburgh. No, Tomlin will come out. He'll have his interview, his speech, and that will be it, right? He'll shut that down. So I think it's the right environment for Russell to go and thrive in right now at this point.
When we saw Russell have to go through what he had to go through in Denver, they asked him to restructure his contract with respect to the injury clause. Then they bench him for the remaining 2 games of the season. Not only that, going back into the season, you remember when Sean Payton completely just annihilates him on the sideline and just shows him no respect. I've never seen any quarterback face that kind of disrespect by any coach on the sidelines during a game ever in the history of the NFL. So I think that was writing on the wall for him. He lands into a home, like you said. Pittsburgh should be the right space for him if he's willing to change his ways. He's not going to be a diva, not going to be a superstar, commanding his own locker room. Just be one of the guys. Just try to fit in, play some ball. I think the veteran minimum helps them to, put money in other places that can shore up their defense and possibly their offense. Let's hope that he does do well. He is now a 9-time Pro Bowler. He does deserve some kind of respect.
So do you think that Russell is the best, most impactful signing, or do you have something different? Because the way you were talking about Kirk Cousins there for a second, I thought you were gonna definitely lead with Kirk Cousins.
Here's an interesting thing. Kirk Cousins has a long history of semi-success, dating back in Washington. You remember, you like that? Then he ends up in Minnesota. He gets a big contract. Him and Justin Jefferson did some big things, and he's made a lot of highlight reels, and he's made a lot of money doing it. So for his level of talent in Atlanta, I think for him the bar is get the team into the playoffs. And I think that would be their bar. if they're able to make some noise in the playoffs, that's a bonus.
You said a lot there, but you didn't answer my question. So who's the bigger, more impactful signing? Because in reality, this is football. The quarterback is the most important position, right? So it's going to most likely be one of the quarterback signings. Again, we've had some good running backs signed.
Not necessarily. Like, if you're
outside of like a line, maybe a left tackle, but like who else is
like, if you really think about
impact of a game?
If you think there's a potential
with the Kenny Pickett, there's no thought and there's no potential. With Russell Wilson, and again, if he is playing in a decent level of football, where he's not completely, unless he's totally washed. He comes out, he's not washed. He's gonna be better than Kenny Pickett.
Okay.
If he's not better than Kenny Pickett, he should be signing in Pittsburgh.
What you're trying to say, in a nutshell, is that
that's a playoff team.
Pittsburgh has a fighting chance in the playoffs versus with the Kenny Pickett just making it to the playoffs, and you're sort of a one and done kind of situation.
Yeah.
With Russell Wilson, at least you have a fighter's chance. Experience, of course, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, Russell Wilson has to have a miracle Disney wand rubbed over the football for him to think that he's going to come out of the AFC and hoist that trophy one more time. That's just not going to happen. I mean, there are a lot of variables have to happen. You got
baby steps. Talk about
injuries have got to happen. Some key quarterbacks for that to happen. So they got a fighter's chance. I'm not going to throw it out the window. But when you ask who's going to make the most impact, I'll look at Saquon Barkley. And if they got rid of Swift, but they're bringing out Saquon Barkley, Philadelphia was picked to win the Super Bowl this year. And for some reason, their offense didn't click on all cylinders. They weren't able to get the job done. It was looking kind of shaky for a long time. They were able to muster, 11 wins during the regular season, I believe it was, 11-6 or 12-5 or something like that. But at the end of the day, Saquon Barkley, who is a dual threat in the backfield, I think this could potentially be the biggest signing of the free agency of 2024. Christian McCaffrey did wonders for the 49ers. They ended up in the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. Saquon Barkley could be the answer to Philadelphia's offensive struggles.
I won't disagree.
If you ask me, that could potentially be the biggest signing if his offensive talents is able to put them over the hump. I don't know.
Oh, interesting. As a Giants fan, it hurts that he'll be coming back to haunt the Giants for a few years, a few games, and I'm sure. And Philadelphia already has their way at the Giants, so I can only imagine how this is going to get worse. But I digress. Barkley. Wow. He could have that impact of a McCaffrey.
I'm telling you, it's possible.
But again, I lean to the quarterbacks. If not Russell Wilson, I would assume Kirk Cousins then, because Kirk Cousins is gonna have a pretty easy path in that NFC South. So, I again naturally quarterbacks, but Barkley, I could see it. I could see him being that piece that makes Philly's offense just a juggernaut.
Has boxing become a sport of entertainment versus, I guess, a real sport of gladiators? I've seen a lot more, I guess, WWE more fashion in the ring now, because a lot of superstars are coming out facing real athletes just to get that bag. Mike Tyson's coming back out of retirement for the second time to face Jake Paul
in an exhibition fight. Yes.
What are your thoughts on this? I mean, Mike Tyson, if you ask me, has everything to lose.
It's interesting because, again, these guys are getting paydays, and I don't begrudge Francis taking these fights and making the money, because, again, it would have taken him multiple UFC fights to accumulate the money that his payday in this fights. But it's attention to the sport, right? I think a lot of people, I'm sure the purists would have appreciate more focus on the real matches and not these exhibitions to say. But again, there's some good fights, boxing still producing, sprinkled in between, right? Like you're getting the Henny and Garcia fight coming up in April. Joshua will fight the winner of Fury and his name escapes me right now. But yeah, that heavyweight fight, so he'll be in the mix there. So potentially another good fight. But I don't know. It's kind of sad that Mike Tyson is gonna be probably the biggest fight. Him and Jake Paul is gonna be a big fight, and again, it's on Netflix. I think Netflix is taking their their attempt at live sports. So we'll see where that goes. And again,
game changer.
Whew, that could be a problem, from Netflix and chills to watch the game. You don't got to worry about a thing.
Race. The Eastern Conference is pretty much settled up. The Boston Celtics has an 8-game lead over the second place team, and of course the Western Conference is just a little bit more tighter. Every team has a fighting chance for that number 1 spot between now and the end of the season. So let's get into your picks, and let's find out, have they changed, or are you going to continue with your picks?
I think this is the year where Tatum's story really gets told, because we're at the point now where it's time for Tatum to, if he wants to be considered one of the best players in the league, to take over in a playoff environment, especially at a high end, conference finals, championship. We need to see, and again, a lot of people say, he can't make the big shot in the big moment. That is the story, and that is the narrative being created around Jason Tatum, right? And before it was, can Tatum and Brown coexist together, blah, blah, blah. So it is now the time. Their roster is complete and full, best roster in the league. So there's no excuse. Outside of major injury to multiple guys at this point, Boston has no reason not to come out of the East. So.
What's that song? Heard it all before? Seen the story before. Boston Celtics, he talked about the story's going to unfold this year. And what that story going to be? The story's going to be Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown still can't get it done.
Ooh.
We've seen this before. You guys are just like, you know what they are? The modern day San Francisco 49ers. Yes, on paper, you got the best team, but do you have the best chemistry? Obviously not. Do you have the best coach? We know you don't. When it comes down to it, the Boston Celtics are just going to find a way to self-destruct, and the Western Conference are going to find where the holes are in the cracks and just going to wheel that wide open and take the Boston Celtics' blood, leading to a coach firing, a coach change, and Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum requesting a trade out of Boston, because it's going to be too many years of the same old story. Good team, good chemistry, good story. However, it ends in a nightmare. Can't get it done. Your take on that?
You know what it is? I can see Tatum almost not even having the moments of him being, like coming to the stage and declaring, I am a top player in this league. I am the best player. And Boston still win the conference.
Oh, right.
They can still win it, because again, you could have a game where Holiday becomes that star and Porzingis and White has his night.
You might even see Horford have a night in there,
He's bound for one at least. But but that is the depth of Boston. That lineup is, again, I may not bank on guys like Porzingis showing up too. Who knows? At some point, if his health becomes an issue, I could see after a couple of tough games, Porzingis, no man's, right?
Right. Let's talk about the Western Conference, because the Western Conference, of course, is a lot stronger. We got the Denver Nuggets, of course, the defending champions, and they look like they're firing on all cylinders, and they're not slowing down. So they're leading the way. You got the Clippers. Clippers are coming on strong.
Again, to me in the West, it's obviously the Nuggets are one of the top dog. But in that mix of who can win the conference as well, potentially, I'm going to agree with you with the Clippers. Potentially, like, if, again, but with health, Clippers potentially could be. And I have a feeling that we will find out between the Nuggets and the Clippers. I just see them actually matching up at some point. But my third team that could win this Western Conference is the other LA team. LA, big city of dreams. But the Lakers, again, with this opportunity now that we see slowly giving LeBron some rest days, allowing his body to, start getting a little more time to recoup, a little more time between games, a chance to go running into the playoffs, with LeBron at his max. AD is, I don't know what he's drank. He's doing whatever he's doing, keep doing it, because he plays every night. He plays every night, and he's been on a roll these last few games. The Lakers, I don't know, man. I wouldn't want to play the Lakers if I was OKC, a Nuggets, or the Timberwolves. But yeah, man. So I think Nuggets, Clippers, Lakers in the West. One of those three teams with obviously most of the Nuggets.
Surprised we're not going to mention the Phoenix Suns.
It's not funny. I didn't mention it for a reason.
So just to make sure we can get this on record, the book of accountability is out. We just want to solidify the picks. With 1 month left to go in the regular season, Kyron is going to put down his picks, call them out very clearly so that there's no mistakes.
Eastern Conference Finals. It will be Boston Celtics versus Miami. No, not quite. It'll be Milwaukee this year. They will play against Milwaukee in the finals.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your Western Conference finalists, please.
That will be the Nuggets versus the Lakers.
Okay. Book of Accountability has on record that Chiron is going to select the Boston Celtics, which is an easy pick, Milwaukee Bucks, which is also an easy pick, which are also the picks that I will piggyback off. So you can put me down. I'm going to take
Milwaukee and Boston.
Milwaukee and Boston.
Okay.
That should be it. Western Conference, I'm going to go with the Nuggets. And sleeper pick, I don't know why I'm taking these guys. I'm going to go with the Clippers.
So we got Boston and Milwaukee, and then we also got
Nuggets,
Clippers. Okay.
The Book of Accountability has been documented, and the record has been set straight.
Okay.
Of course, we also like to put a little wager on it. That is, of course, off camera. So the Book of Accountability is not just for online purposes, for offline purposes as well. So